And welcome, Mr. Hamer and other callers. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Steve. I'm glad you could make it.
Yes, sir.
All right. If we are all set.
Okay. Yes, I think we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to call this Recreation Committee meeting to order. Today is Monday, November 25th, 2024. If we can have a moment of silence, or Jim, if you could lead us in a brief prayer, would you be willing?
Sure, yeah. Lord God, thank you for gathering us together. Please clarify our minds and solidify our hearts to make the right decisions, to bring to serve our constituents the best that we possibly can, and let the meeting be productive and glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember McBride. Do I have a motion to approve the October 21st, 2024 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, the ayes have it. Moving on to our public participation portion of the agenda. Ms. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No,
Go
please.
ahead.
Do we have some callers on the line or any comments received?
It's my understanding there was a problem with the Innovate site.
Okay.
So you probably just want to check and see if there's anybody on the line that would like to,
Sure.
and say something.
And it is *6, if I'm not mistaken, to unmute. So if we do have callers online, the public participation period of this meeting is not a question and answer. It is just a time for you to be here and share your comments or questions, and we could get back to you at a later time. But again, it's not going to be a back and forth, but we welcome you. And if you are here and you're on the line, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Loretta LaQuara.
Hi.
And I'm driving, so I'm not on the video yet.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I wanted to make sure that this is the meeting where we were going to discuss the Thomas Jefferson pickleball courts.
Yes, ma'am. This is the Recreation Committee for the City of Charleston. So if you have a comment, please, you have the floor. Just kind of keep it brief, about a minute and a half, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Well, I do want to thank everyone for the planning on resurfacing the parking lot. But I did want to just add a comment that the courts are becoming very crowded, and I feel like we need more pickleball courts. We've got great participation from the youth, all age groups, but now it's becoming frustrating for some of the people that are having to wait a long time, especially people that are visiting and want to try out the courts. So just wanted to comment that we certainly could use some more courts in the area of James Island.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for calling in, and feel free to come back. Thanks. All right. If you as well, if you're on the line, you can press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hey, this is Matt Blood. Am I unmuted?
You are. We can hear you.
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, this is Matt Blood. I am in the James Island area as well, and wanted to comment on the Thomas Johnson Park as well. I'll make it brief. Thank you guys all for allowing us to have our voices heard. First and foremost, thank you guys for allowing us to have those courts resurfaced. They did a really good job. The one downside is that the lines for the pickleball are blue because it's still tennis dominant. So that court has, if anyone's playing tennis, they have white lines because that's the main court that's supposed to be played, but nobody plays tennis out there, or very, very few. And just like our other constituent was saying earlier, it is, I mean, there's like 1,800 members now. I mean, it's massive. And we're very thankful for how much it's grown and for all the dollars and everything that's been put into it. But, now you have such interest, and, I kind of tried to help head this. We're looking for upgraded with putting lights in. We're looking to have the courts change from the blue lines for pickleball to white dominant, because it's really hard to see with the sun. I know you guys are putting in additional parking. We thank you guys for that as well. And so those were a couple things that I noted and told Caroline Parker. I'm not sure if she's on the call as well, but I just want to make sure that they're put in the notes for this call to get to the mayor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Blood. Thanks for calling in, and come back anytime. Okay. Let's see who's next. I see if you called in or would like to make a comment, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Anyone else, or is that it? Philip, is it Miss Sykes? Is that everybody from the public? I see other faces, but I'm not sure. Miss Abarta, are you here for public comment, or we can't hear you?
Thank you all very much for your time. I know that I'll be brief because I know there's other things going on. I know that one way that you all monitor how many people use the courts is through Team Reach. And lovingly, nobody checks into that. So it may show that like 6 or 8 people are there. That's not accurate at all. There are some mornings that there are 30 and 40 people there on a Tuesday or Thursday morning when it's open play. We have tried, now that we know Team Reach is one of the ways it's being monitored, to kind of spread the word to have people click in. But if you don't know that we're there, you don't know that we're there, and we are. There's easily some mornings you might be there 3 hours and you might only get 2 games in because of how many people are kind of waiting to be in the rotation. The second thing is that the Folly Beach courts have been repaved as well. And one thing that we're noticing since the repavement is that they are very sensitive to water, and it takes a very long time for them to dry before they can be played. So I don't know if maybe somebody said more sand needed to be added into the paint or something. I'm not any of that, but several times I've been out there to play in the morning and people are like, oh, we can't use that one yet. It has to dry, because people have been slipping. So that's just, something to bring to your attention.
Okay.
The other thing.
Ms. Abarta, I'm sorry. I think that's about time. If that's okay, we have to continue on. If you want to send me an email, that's fine, but feel free to come back as well. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Did anyone else call in or would like any public comment from anyone else? If not, I'm going to move on with the agenda. So if you are here, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Go ahead.
this is Bill. This is Bill Randall. Thanks again. I'll take this. Will be really brief.
Sure.
Just wanted to piggyback on that as well. So the courts take extremely long to dry. But here, the main thing I wanted to touch on is we are even more limited with daylight savings time on the amount of time to play. So it just bottlenecks every morning and every afternoon. And I'm the one that's guilty of not checking into Team Reach. So I think we're going to make it a point to do that so you guys can see it. But that's just another thing with daylight savings time. We just don't have the time or the court space for the amount of people to play.
Okay, great. We hear you. Thanks so much for being here. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
All right. I believe that's it. So moving on, 4A, we have some old business projects and maintenance update from Parks.
Excuse me, council member, you want to approve the minutes?
We already did. I believe we had a vote already on that.
Did you? Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Madam Chairperson, Mayor, council members, if you will, I'm just going to do similar to what I did at the last meeting. I'll share my screen. I'll kind of go through everything briefly. Please interrupt me or ask questions at the end, and we will keep moving this forward. So let's see, screen one, share. Can everybody see that?
Yep. We
Is
can,
it zoomed in enough for everyone?
yeah, it's okay for
So,
me.
okay, great. So winter layouts are complete, 42 layouts at 11 locations. As you can see, there's a number of locations, youth flag football, youth soccer, middle school soccer, and these are all painted weekly and keeping up with the recreation programming. We're currently dragging all infields weekly. So we've been able to staff up over the past year or two, and the goal is to accomplish every single ball field every day, 5 days a week, assuming equipment's all serviced, trucks are here, and everybody shows up. So we're doing pretty good. We got a really good group of folks that are out there maintaining our infields. So that's about 130 drags a week at 26 different locations. So that's good news. Turf field maintenance. So a couple of years ago, we started and we did a little pilot program to see if see how overseeding of ryegrass would work on our fields. The city had never done that prior to my arrival, and some years after that, obviously. So the pilot program went well. We upped that to all of our athletic fields that are in complexes and receive games. So you'll see the locations here listed. The ryegrass is coming in strong. It really does help with the field durability, and it certainly increases the aesthetics of the appearance. So that's been a really good effort to increase the durability of our athletic fields. So you see the locations there. Pretty happy about that, and it does help the fields projects. Again, I'm going to keep going through this unless anybody has any questions. Bayview Soccer Complex, we completed the parking lot expansion, and just today we got a comment from the James Allen Youth Soccer Club that, quote, it made a tremendous difference this weekend. So that's good feedback that the additional parking helped over the weekend at the tournament. Brittlebank Park Playground, if you all don't know, this is a playground that is in need of renovation. We're working with the Army Corps of Engineers as they have the landfill cap permit for Brittlebank Park. So typically we don't have to go through the Army Corps, but in this case we do. So we have our engineers starting that progress and hopefully to get that permitted at a good point in time to get it renovated. Ferguson Village Park, we did some landscape enhancements along the roadway that the neighborhood had been asking for a couple of years. So we finally got that installed. Really good feedback and a little curb appeal, if you will. Fort Pemberton and Riverland Terrace, we did put the project out for bid, received 3 bids, all a bit over budget. So we're evaluating our VE options and the potential for additional funding to get that project to contract. Gadsden Borough Swing Structures, our construction crews have completed 2 rebuilds, 2 more underway. Governor's Park Field Drainage, the Department of Environmental Services, formerly DHEC, still has those drawings for permitting, at which point in time we can put the project out to bid. Johns Island Park Rec Center and Forest Park Playground RFQ, the committee met on the 21st. 2 of the highest ranking teams were selected. Interviews will be scheduled in order to get a design team underway. Municipal golf course restrooms. Currently, December 2nd is the mobilization date for the contractor with an anticipated completion date of January 13th. Plymouth Park Playground replacement. The neighborhood had an oyster roast over the weekend, and they've really done an incredible job raising money, almost up to $200,000. I'm not sure exactly where they were. I knew they were at about $165,000. So that work will commence here shortly with the playground installer and hopefully completion around the end of January. Stephen Washington Park, we did clean up that former encampment area and removed about 15 cubic yards of refuse and debris. So that project has been completed. Stony Field, we installed the dedication plaque for Raven Saunders. Some of you may not remember, but this was the track was dedicated to Raven Saunders after her last Olympic run. And I talked to Lori. She said that Lori had talked to Raven and she had seen the plaque, extremely excited to see it in place at Stony Field. Thomas Johnson Park parking enhancements, that work should start December 4th. Waring Senior Center, there were some drainage issues around the pickleball courts down there that were creating standing water. So we had a contractor come in and regrade around the entire court system and enhance that drainage for that location. West Ashley Bikeway resurfacing. And the reason these are all on the list, they're somewhat recreation oriented and have an active component. So the West Ashley Bikeway resurfacing is it's in permit review and hope to bid that out in January, excuse me. The next page and a half is just traditional facilities maintenance that has happened since the last committee meeting. In Bayview, we repaired a catch basin, replaced exhaust fans in the restroom. Dimitri Park, we have painted the interior exterior of that restroom. Ferguson, the neighborhood has requested electrical panel be set so they could decorate the park with lights for the holidays. We did that. Forest Park Playground House, replaced exterior doors. Hazel Parker Dog Run, painted benches, ice machine at all rec facilities had their preventive maintenance work completed. James Island Rec Center, we replaced the shaft seal and bearings in the pool pump motor. A little bit boring, but certainly something that's important. We also installed the epoxy flooring in the rear restrooms, which certainly has helped its appearance and hopefully will be a little bit easier to keep clean in the future. LTP Tennis on Daniel Island, we sealed and striped that parking lot. And Mariucci repaired the electrical junction box for the weather heads for the ball field lights. We also had another light issue at Maybank Tennis Center last week. As you can see, there was a burnt splice where the contractor had spliced into the existing junction box. That's all been repaired and courts are back lit. MLK Pool, we painted the doors. Moultrie Park House, 2 floodlight replacements. Thomas Johnson painted the restrooms. WL Stevens Pool, the heater failed, so we had ordered a new one. We anticipate that delivery hopefully Wednesday. We'll get that installed as soon as it gets here and replace the wall heater in the men's locker room. So that's a snapshot of maintenance around the parks and athletic facilities for the city. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Councilmember Shealy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Kronsberg, thank you for that great report. Appreciate it. Wanted to ask you, maybe I missed it, but WPAL Park, anything happening there? What's happening there?
Yeah, that's I believe that's nearing about 90% construction documents. I didn't have that one on there, but I can get you an update on that one.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you. And just wanted to ask you, so what we have going on with WL Stevens, we are now getting bids or whatever for the new aquatic center. Is that what I want to make sure I was clear on that?
Yeah, so we have the Forest Park Playground, WL Stevens. We did the selection committee for the design team. We've shortlisted 2 of the design teams. Once those interviews are complete, we'll be negotiating contracts for the design of the entire park and WL Stevens Aquatic Center. So we're going to take a holistic look at the park and come up with some options, come back to the community and get that community feedback and move that project forward into the design process.
Great. That's exciting. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, I have a few questions, but thank you, Mr. Mayor, on Councilmember Shealy's point. I mean, Mr. Mayor, thank you for kind of spearheading that and pushing that forward. I mean, with Forest Park and Johns Island, I mean, I know we have still a little bit, some work to do with as far as the bond referendum, but you moving the needle on this is incredible. So thank you. more to come, I'm sure, for the citizens of Charleston. So thank you. Jason, again, thank you for that wonderful report. And I just want to say, Jason, that none of these items are boring, at least to me. I think that all of these small items are really important. I've said it before, they make a huge impact, to everybody like me who's at these parks regularly. So they're not boring, they're not little. We appreciate all the work that your staff and you do all around the city. So thank you. Quick questions. On the Brittle Bank, is the parking lot included in that overhaul?
This is just for the playground equipment
Just
itself.
the equipment?
We
Okay.
did, after that, one of those comments in one of our last meetings, we did, we put that on the list for future projects, for the CIP, the capital improvement plan, which we'll have to go through again, the ad hoc process and then funding scenarios. So, it takes a little while to get there sometimes, but it is on a list now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Do we have, I saw all the work that's been being done at Stephen Washington, obviously. Do we have are we planning on funding any portion of those renovations in the 25 budget?
So we'd have to, again, that would have to be something that is put on a capital improvement plan or another funding source. It's the renovation of that park is, it's a little bit more than maintenance, so it'd have to be something that was added to the capital improvement plan.
Okay. All right. My final question, y'all, I apologize. The James Island Rec Center, the scoreboard, do we know if those repairs have been completed?
They should have been. I can double check on that. They're supposed to replace all the bulbs with LED lights, but I'll need to double check. Lori might know.
Jason, yeah, we've had trouble with the manufacturer trying to get those replacement bulbs because of the age of the scoreboards. I just talked to Robin today and we're still working with procurement on that, but we're trying to get that squeezed out for being ready for the spring season. So it's an issue of finding it from Nevco and it's a Nevco product that we have to use.
Okay. All right. I'll circle back on that one because I
Yes,
hope.
please do. It stayed on my weekly calendar as well.
Okay.
So I'm working with that too.
Appreciate
Just-
it.
May I, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, can you clarify on the procurement? Because we're talking about bulbs here and we're having to go through procurement, but we have a very specific type of bulb and only one supplier for it. Is that what I understand?
I think there was bulbs and maybe remote controls. There's some other things out there that Lori might have more information on.
Jason, that's correct. And yes, Mayor, these are, you have to use the same kind from the product of the scoreboards. We've had some trouble trying to get Nevco to be responsive to us on the scoreboards. Those scoreboards are several years old. And so we are trying.
That's one thing. I'm asking, is there a procurement issue?
No, sir. It's not a procurement issue. We've just asked procurement to help us with Nevco since it's a big.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to make sure we weren't going through a procurement process
No,
on
sir.
one vendor.
No. All right. Councilmember Shealy. Oh, we can't hear you.
You're
on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Carnsberg, we can talk about this offline if we need to. About once a week, maybe sometimes more than that, I go over to Carl Richardson Park. Great place to have a sandwich, or I eat my lunch over there or whatever. Beautiful park. Everything we own is just about perfect out there. But I didn't know if there's been any discussion about the house that's right there on the edge of our property. It's in the insurance business, we call that an attractive nuisance. And I'm just concerned about kids that may be out there on that park getting over onto that property. And I don't know if there's been any discussion. I know it's not ours. We don't own it. It's privately owned as far as I know. But I could just see there being an issue in the future there. Just wanted to ask.
I can talk to Dan Riccio about that and see if there's the homeowner will be responsive in getting it cleaned up a little bit. It is a bit of a attractive nuisance, if you will.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions from the committee? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. An update on winter programs from Recreation. Ms. Yarbrough.
Thank you, Chairperson Parker. Let me also add one thing to Jason's very long report that I'm excited about. Shaw Community Center renovations will be starting December 9th. We're getting things packed up to get ready and get out of there, but that's going to be such an enhancement to that building and the community that we serve there. So we're very excited about this project starting. I did want to make sure Jason got full credit for that. So we have ended our fall sports. It was a great fall. We had a 9 and 10-year-old football team from Daniel Island and an 11, 12-year-old team from James Island that both won their local championships. We'll be bringing those to City Council, the second meeting in December. Those parents and kids and coaches are all very excited to be in front of City Council. So thank you all for letting us do that. Right now, we're sitting on 2,541 kids in our winter youth sports program. We're still working with a couple of our playgrounds that are around our public housing that we've not gotten registered, but I have worked out a solution with the housing authority. We're going to work on with them next week to get these families on our scholarship program. So we should get that number close to 3,000, which is good because I only have 4 gyms. I know most of you all had asked me about trying to get help from CCSD with some use of school gyms. We sent information to CCSD on July the 10th, trying to get into some of their middle school gyms, Hawk Gap, C.E. Williams, Camp Road Middle. We have not gotten any gym space from any of those schools, so we only have the ability to use and program at our city gyms. So we are very limited in gym space. We'll also be starting in January our middle school baseball, softball, and soccer program, as well as registration for the elementary middle school tennis program. So we'll have those numbers starting up in January as well. And we found out last week, we Marshall and the golf course, we were named the 2024 top public golf course of the year by the South Carolina Golf Association, which is a huge honor. We're very excited about that. So that announcement will be coming out. Mayor, I'm not even sure if you were aware of that, but we just got the word, and we're working with Deja and Bay to get that information out. So that's very exciting.
That's awesome. And I played there as part I was sold as an auction item. Somebody had to play with me for 4 hours with myself and Mike Seekings, and I'll have to say I was blown away by the condition of the course and the folks that run it, and something really to be proud of. I'll say that.
It really is. We've had a lot of folks work really hard in the last several years to get those renovations and still be able to offer a very affordable place to play golf and in great condition. So I see Councilmember Shealy with his hand up. He's been hard on the path of that one as well. So we're all really excited, and of course we're getting our restrooms. So that's great news as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councilmember Shealy.
Sorry. I just wanted to say congratulations. And I saw Marshall last night over at Charleston Classic at College of Charleston. He was so excited to tell me. And man, what a great thing, because there's so many great golf courses in this state and around this area. What a huge honor to get that. So congratulations, Lori, and to everybody involved in that. And thank you for your work.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. I mean, it's a great course. They've worked so hard, and let's not forget our friends of the Muni as well. I mean, they've all worked so hard over there, and our staff certainly, I mean, it's an incredible course. So that's great to hear. Thanks for sharing that.
Anybody wants to play golf this weekend? We're going to be closed Thursday afternoon to celebrate Thanksgiving. We'll be back open early Friday morning so that Black Friday shoppers can shop while everybody else plays golf. So please go out and play around the golf. And that's really all I have. We're getting ready for a number of community events over the December month, including the city's Christmas parade. We'll be participating in that. So just a lot of very cool stuff going on. You might catch the website and catch the mayor's mic'd up. He was mic'd up and coached a flag football game out at Bayview on Saturday morning, and he was more excited than most of the dads there. So we enjoyed having him out, and hope he'll come back and do that during the basketball season.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Quick question. And again, just pertaining to my district, can you add James Island Elementary to that list of requests for basketball use? I know we are tight. Councilmember Shealy, maybe you can address your area a little better, but I know on James Island, we have 2 courts, and I don't know if you have the James Island numbers in front of you. We have a lot of folks that like to play basketball. So I don't know if you have reached out to maybe James Allen Elementary. Can we add them to the list and maybe
That's a
first
great idea. I can certainly
batches?
add them to the list. The elementary gyms are obviously not as big as the middle school gyms, so we can add that to it. Last 2 years ago, we had the brilliant idea of taking the little kids, the 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 year olds, and putting them in the fall. So we'd have more gym time in the winter for 7 and up, but we're still just busting at the seams. And so, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll reach out, to those folks tomorrow.
Okay, great. And let me know how I can help. I mean, like elsewhere in Charleston, I mean, this is a community, this island, everybody goes to school here. They want to play there. So whatever we can do to help. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that report. I don't see any other questions. So moving on, 5B, just some updates. We do have this. So this ordinance did go through real estate committee, but just for some updates, I'd like the committee to maybe take a look. I think you've been given a copy of the agreement for the work being done at Johns Island Park. And then we have Mr. Hamer with CCSD here to give us some updates. And thank you so much for hanging with us. We appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
Well, sure. Just as an introduction, again, my name is Steve Hamer. I am the head of facilities management for the Charleston County School District, and this is one of the projects that my department is overseeing. So we've been working really hard to kind of hit our marks with the schedule on this project. A little bit some things that were impactful to get us a little bit later start than I wanted to with getting approval for the stormwater management. But we got that taken care of and really got underway at the beginning of the summer in earnest with the project there. I'm still tracking on the latest schedule that I got from 2 weeks ago, being able to get the park where it's ready to be used at the end of January. And that's really critical for the school who'll be using that for their spring softball and baseball season. I'm showing that the final activities of finishing up the batting cages and the dugouts happening the last week in January, and maybe some punch list items and maybe some other items that aren't as critical to the students getting out there to practice with putting in a bike rack and maybe doing the striping on the parking and some things with the courtyard that we're doing there. So far, so good with the schedule. Of course, nothing really makes you comfortable when you're, managing this hour by hour, day by day to get it done so that the kids have time to practice. And I think that was really kind of the latest issue that bubbled up a couple of weeks ago was the coaches and the staff were really eager to figure out how quickly they could get on the fields and to start practice. Again, I don't think we're going to be able to turn it over any earlier than the end of January. If they really need to get access to some practice, maybe there's something that I can work out with Mrs. Yarborough and maybe some other alternatives for the teams to get some ability to get to a field to practice. But I'm really feeling pretty comfortable. Not, I would say overconfident, but pretty comfortable that we'll be able to turn the work over by the end of January, turn the fields over by the end of January.
Council, thank you, Mr. Hamer. Councilmember McBride.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Hamer, for you guys working hard to get those fields ready. I know that I think the coaches said that just after the Christmas New Year break is when they typically start practice, so it's not too far behind what their target is there. And I know we do have other fields in Johns Island, so hopefully we can work something out with the other fields we have, private fields, Bear Island Little League, that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
Or through the city, of course. One of the issues that came up was, and I know that the agreement on how the field and how it was contracted out was agreed on, 2 years ago or however long ago, is the infield of the baseball field in particular, which is typically a grass infield. But I think the prior city administration with CCSD agreed to a dirt infield. First of all, is that correct?
I can speak to that, Councilwoman Parker, if I may. I got a pretty deep dive on this from our staff, and bottom line is you're right. It was the Charleston County requested that it be and Jason, let me know if I get this wrong, but they were requesting having a turf infield on one of the fields the city said no to that because they did not want to change any of the existing programming. So they wanted to make no changes to it. And so that is where we are right now. I think and Mr. Hammer, please let me know if you feel differently at this point, but you would prefer to have one of the fields have a turf infield. And so what my thought was is that we can revisit that. It will cost some money to retrofit it. I think we want to do that obviously in the off season when we want to let it go through a season and then plan accordingly if we want to move towards changing that and allowing for a turf infield. And Jason's going to look at what the general cost on something like that might be. And so that was what we discussed internally. If that's something that this committee and council wants to move forward with.
Yeah, just knowing that the season's about to start, that to me, that sounds reasonable. At least it's being addressed, and it may not be addressed in time for this season, but as long as, again, I don't have any kids playing baseball, but I was informed that that's normal for at least the baseball team. The baseball teams play with grass and fields. So as long as we pursue something by next season, I think that's a fair compromise.
Yeah, and I think that's possible. We might lose the opportunity to have a contractor already mobilized, but I mean, this particular contractor is using a subcontractor anyway, so I don't know that we're losing too much on that. And Jason, I'm happy to work with you. You know, my folks are pretty good at developing the pricing on these types of things. So as you kind of look for vendor prices and what might need to be budgeted, you know, just reach out to us and we can probably help out with that as much as we can.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that if your contractor has some pricing ready, or you could ask them just to get us prepared, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's a good medium, right, Councilmember McBride?
Yeah, I think so. And it could be wrong here. One of the assistant coaches informed me that the amount of sod needed is only like $3,000. That's just, you know, secondhand information. I don't know if that's correct or not, but
well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, sir. Certainly, it's much more than the sod. And, you know, I got a little bit of an update a few hours ago. And so a significant amount of subsurface preparation and maybe actually, you know, bringing in some different fill might be necessary. So I think it's more than just the cost of the grass.
Okay. That makes more sense too. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Which also kind of amplifies your point is that we, you know, certainly beyond the point where we could do that now to impact the completion date for this project, you know, just wouldn't be able to do it in time to have the sod rooted correctly and, you know, have it stabilized enough so that they could play on it in the spring. So then it becomes a matter of the timing of that. If we are going to do that, where it suits y'all's schedules and, you know, something that, again, we can help out on in terms of our access to vendors and what we know is going to be within the art of the possible.
Yeah. Just one more comment, just more of kind of this public perception comment, just to be, we're all aware of this and I'll be doing this, of course, but just that CCSD and the city are proactively explaining to the parents and the coaches and the kids this weird nuance of this situation for these particular fields, because again, the perception is, or could be, that, hey, we're playing on all these other fields and they have grass infields and the only field that's not is Johns Island. Here we go again. Perception that we got to, you know, just through communication, proactive communication, explaining why this all happened and that we're working forward to for next season to get it resolved.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Great point, Councilmember McBride. I noticed in this agreement, you know, this does state that it's CCSD. I'm not putting you on the spot, Mr. Hamer, but it is sort of CCSD's approach that they'll be the ones, you know, heading up that community engagement. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because if not, it's a city field and y'all are, this is a CCSD project. It's a little confusing. It can certainly be confusing for constituents, but we're all working together for the greater good. But I just want to make sure that the community engagement aspect is happening, because I think, it just helps alleviate a lot of that. When is it going to be finished? The infield, outfield. So if we can help with that, if you need our help, please let us know. But I think from what I understand through this agreement is CCSD is taking the lead on that community engagement. Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's correct. And so we've already started that a little bit at the school level, just making sure there's some clarity on completion dates and where we are on the specific activities. And I'll make sure we ramp that up and have something a little bit more proactive, so that not only the school stakeholders know, that the community's stakeholders know as well.
Okay. All right, great. And I know we have the pickleball as well, because I noticed that the completion date in this agreement is technically August 2025. I mean, it sounds like you guys are pretty solid with the January 25 for the baseball fields. I know that those parents and players are eager to get out, and coaches are eager to get out there, but can you just verify with me, is that the entirety of the renovations, or are we just looking at the baseball portion being done by the end of January?
Well, there's possibly some more work with the stormwater mitigation that might spill over past the end of January. But I think the key point was the noise mitigation that we were asked to work on with the pickleball court. That is, to be honest, a little bit behind where I thought we would be. Again, my latest schedule shows us putting up an additional privacy fence on the border along those pickleball courts the middle of December, actually happening starting around the 12th of December and working all the way through the holiday. And also some sound barriers that we were going to put on the fences around the court, not just a privacy fence along the property line, but some sound barriers. Again, originally we thought we'd have those in place by the end of October, but that's been delayed a little bit. But that won't go too much longer without being put in place. One of the things, as you may know, we had to get approval from the HOA with the size and the style of that property, that privacy fence. But that's a commitment that we made. It's in our schedule. It's budgeted. We'll try to get those in place as soon as we can. And certainly I believe it'll happen before the Christmas break.
Okay. All right. Great. Again, appreciate you being here, giving us your time. Mr. Kronzberg, who is the PM? This agreement also had a portion in it. Who is the PM from the city on this project? Because I think that could be maybe a piece that we're missing as well, that might be able to help Mr. Hamer and the constituents. And who on the city side, is working directly with CCSD on this?
Beth Brownlee is the PM assigned that attends the owners and engineers meeting. Clark DeShantis, our deputy director, also attends those meetings. So both of them, or at least one of them, are there for each meeting.
Okay, perfect. So maybe rather than Mr. Hamer, we won't take your time. We really appreciate you being here and sharing all of these updates with us. You can understand we get a lot of calls and emails, but maybe we'll have our PM maybe come back in December and give us some updates and see where we are.
No, I'm happy to come back if necessary. Really appreciate the cooperation with the city to get this project to completion. We've got a lot to do in a few weeks, but again, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to meet y'all's desires, as well as the schools, as well as the community. So if you need me to come back and give you another update, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we appreciate all the coaches and everybody, their patience. We appreciate you going out there with the kids. That's the most important thing. Councilmember McBride?
Yeah, just one last comment. Thanks again, Mr. Hamer, and just the communication on both from the city side and CCSD. It's the neighborhood we're talking about by the pickleball course is the retreat at Johns Island HOA. It's been a series of terrible sequence of events for them, especially the houses nearest the pickleball courts. It's not just this project. It started, years before that. So communication, I know that we've ramped up communication on the city side with that HOA, certain members nearest the courts. And I know that you are as well, Mr. Hamer, as far as working with HOA to, like you said, get an agreement on the privacy fence. But communication is so important, because when we don't communicate with our constituents, they wonder what's going on, frustrations increase. So even if things get behind schedule, like they have a little bit, that's fine as long as we're communicating city and CCSD with those constituents. I think things will be looking better for them from their perspective, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember McBride. All right. If there is nothing else, everyone, I will move that we adjourn, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanksgiving.
See most of you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks,
yes.
everybody.
See you, yeah.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
I was trying to go on vacation already, Kevin. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks again, Mr. Hammer.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.